Listen. So Blink Twice is one of those movies where you can probably guess where it's going from the trailer, but then you watch it and you're sitting there at the end going, damn. It's one of those where on a rewatch you even catch a bunch of the little Easter eggs and the foreshadowing, which is what I'm going to be breaking down in this video. But it's wild that even Amazon had them put a trigger warning before the movie, so it's already prepping you for what's going to happen.
We're going to my island for a few days. Do you guys want to come?
It's a movie that Zoë Kravitz wrote 7 years ago, so it is interesting comparing it to the Don't Worry Darlings and the Strange Darlings of the world, because she had written this before islands were even getting rated. She even met her fiancé Channing Tatum on the filming of this movie, kind of flipping that, Hollywood cliche.
Her directorial debut. How'd she do? Wicked.
She's all right for being a girl, I guess.
It turns out that they're both even big film nerds, so a bunch of the movie is just shouting out or homaging a lot of other thrillers.
Zoe always joked in the beginning of our relationship, she was just like, I don't do activities. Like, I'm not going to go for hikes and stuff like that.
She's such a nerd for movies. Like, she doesn't do anything.
We just watch movies. We love movies. It's lame to say it out loud because you're like, oh yeah, whatever, but we really do.
I love Cassavetes. We love Cassavetes.
We love Cassavetes.
On a day off, we'll watch like four movies or so. Yeah.
What's it like working with a spouse?
I dug it. You know what I mean? I really did. I think that art is our love language.
Damn. I wonder what the last movie was. Before we get into big spoilers, though, what better movie to talk about the unforgettable power of smell? Because with the sweater weather upon us and the cool breezes coming in, it's finally that time of the year that's my absolute favorite, where you get to sport all your fall clothes, all the leaves start changing colors, and you start making new memories, which is where smells come in. Smell's one of the biggest factors when remembering moments, but the problem's always about finding which one connects with you the best. So whether you're a novice or an expert, Scentbird lets you go through hundreds of fragrances from independent or big brands like Prada and Versace. And you don't even have to drop big bucks to test them out. Literally for less than $10, you can start trying out brand new fragrances. This month, they sent over scents that focus in on autumn with wood and leather notes, with Sexual Steel being the surprise hit since it left me feeling like Zoolander. For beginners, they even give you these cards so that you can start picking up on the specifics in each scent so that you can fine-tune your nose and become an expert. Scentbird also packs their perfumes and colognes in these easy-to-carry vials so that you can take them with you on the go. They've got these nice little cases that usually snap on so that you can lock the vial, just toss it on your bag to be portable. And they even got these nice baggies to make you feel royal without the crown. So if you're interested, click the link down below and use my code LetMeExplain to get 55% off to smell your best with Scentbird. Again, that's promo code LetMeExplain to get you started at just $8 a month.
Ooh. That smells nice on you.
So with another big spoiler warning, let me explain. So the movie follows Frida, a nail artist who's only serving tables because she decided to name her page.
And nail malls.
Yeah, that'll do it. She lives with her best friend Jess, who she honestly literally couldn't live without because without her, she'd have no lighter, her rent wouldn't be covered, she wouldn't even have toilet paper to wipe her own.
Oh, what did you do? It's a surprise.
While doom scrolling, she ends up hearing the voice of this big tech guy named Slater King and immediately blinks twice. Turns out that he's on an apology tour for the really bad stuff that he did, so now he's bought an island that even came with chickens.
But you are this billionaire who is like on an apology tour, and you say something, it made me laugh so hard where you're like, I have chickens now. And the amount of like rich people who are like, I've got chickens now, so I'm all good.
All right, well, let me catch up on what's been going on with me since you saw me last. I got chickens.
It is such a good detail.
Thank you.
Both of them end up working the gala that Slater's hosting for the second year, but Frida gets yelled at before even clocking in since her boss is still mad at her for last year and how much she overtalked him.
No. He talked to me.
She keeps overfilling glasses, tripping, mumbling, fumbling. Honestly, in the first half, I did not see her surviving anything on the island.
I think I'll survive.
Okay. On top of that, she used the rent money that she was supposed to save and instead bought some dresses because she's scoping out Slater so hard, like she's ready to make a move. Honestly, she's a lot like Ingrid, except she goes east, west, east, west. She's able to get his attention by breaking her heel and falling in front of him for the first time, again. And so he introduces her to all of his friends. There's Rich, his therapist, who's helped him with his apology tour.
Blink twice if I'm in danger.
Well, maybe not. Let's not answer that one, right?
This man really covered his eyes when he said that. There's Simon Rex, who plays Cody, his childhood friend and personal chef, who has kind of everybody else doing the cooking on the island. He just likes reading off the menu.
I just love cooking for my friends.
Funny enough, Rex's brother is an actual chef, so he did learn a thing or two from him.
Hey, sip it, dude, sip it. The wine's older than you.
Slater also has Christian Slater as his go-to guy named Vic.
Vic, my left and right hand man.
Just with no pinky, which is why he's already slipping from the beginning.
You look kind of familiar. I know you from somewhere. Seen you somewhere?
Tom's a sitcom star who's on vacation but with an all-egg diet, so even when he stares at the clouds, he sees bread people.
Gingerbread man.
Lucas is a tech wonder boy who's into crypto, and he's also the son of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman, the parents of Maya Hawke.
This is our resident wonder boy here. He's probably gonna run the world one day.
He ends up inviting them both to his private island on his private jet where they ask for full-on privacy.
Wait, for real?
You don't have to do anything that you don't want to do.
That's why I always carry two. But here's where he's got Stacy and Stan. One is his assistant who carries out all of his orders with no questions asked. And then there's Stan, the ex-Marine, who doesn't just run security. He literally is the law and order of the island.
Everybody say, making memories!
They all get their own rooms, clothes, and perfume to use on the daily. But Frida's eyes are so set on Slater that she doesn't even question that they have her size ready or the fact that someone left behind lip gloss. Like even the maid who keeps yelling Red Rabbit to her, she thinks is just like a part of the experience.
Red Rabbit.
Huh? Besides the island having chickens, it also has these flowers that only grow on the island, alongside these snakes that the workers keep taking out with machetes. And what's funny is that when you look around this island, it really reminded me of the video that Zoë Kravitz's own dad did because he has his own compound that's a lot like it.
Welcome to my fazenda.
Besides her main two, there's also 3 other girls that the guys each brought along. Vic brought in Heather, who he's always playing chess with and losing, but it's hilarious how she's supposed to be based off Richmond High and is meant to be a female Spicoli. That's why they're calling her the fat blunt queen who packs more than Snoop, because honestly it was her whole carry-on. She even said she took classes for this.
You know, I went to blunt rolling school for this. Yeah.
Yeah, they really had her rolling cannolis on an island like it was Puff Puff Daddy. Tom brought in Camila, who just made a deal to sell her astrology app. Sarah came with Cody and just won the reality show Hot Survivor Babes, but she's eyeing Slater, so she's ready to take on Frida for the second competition.
And I did what I had to do to survive. That's how you win.
Now, it sucks that the movie didn't keep its original title, since you can tell that Zoe really wanted it, and Channing just kept using it throughout the entire press tour, like even showing off merch.
It was called Pussy Island. It was called Island. I don't know if you're gonna bleep that or not, but
Before I even wrote the script, I wrote down on a blank piece of paper, Pussy Island. And so it was pretty hard to let go of it. But the patriarchy said no. It makes people feel uncomfortable, which is kind of the point.
It was tested and people don't like hearing the word, apparently.
But interestingly enough, they tested the title, and the people who were most offended by it were women, which obviously was not my intention. This movie's made for us.
Damn, it'd be your own sometimes.
And when Zoe Kravitz sends you Island, you're gonna read it, and you're gonna want to be in it.
Yeah.
They end up having nightly dinners where they do drugs, drinks, and dance. They run around with their eyes wide shut under these veils. And then the guy who's in therapy starts pitching that if you can't get people to forgive, then there's got to be a way to make them forget.
Slater said forgetting is a gift. I don't get it.
That's also a big pattern in the movie where it's just the characters giving you exposition. Like, Frida will bring up that her mom's suicide attempt happened when she was young, right in front of her. Like, it's a plot point she needs to give. Tom randomly goes off about a sitcom being canceled and getting cheated on. But there is one moment where Tatum just leaves her up to dry when she's pitching her animal nails idea. And I thought it was hilarious because on a rewatch, you know that he already knows about this. He just really didn't care.
Yeah. Animals.
Huh?
Animal nails.
Weird things then start happening, like Frida's dinner stains disappearing, all the girls have dirt under their nails and feet, one even got Deschanel bangs out of nowhere, and she still never questioned how she got that scar.
So I really wanted to kind of weaponize the Channing's charm, you know?
For whatever reason, Slater leaves behind his vape so that she keeps it overnight, almost like if he's testing her, and on the next day when she returns it, she sees him with the therapist leaving the office, who has a gift with him. After a couple of days, Jess starts getting bad vibes, which gets amped up when a snake bites her in front of everyone, and then she goes missing the following day. Frida's now throwing a search party for her, but no one even remembers that Jess was on the island with them.
Where's Jess?
Who is Jess?
Frida then puts her detective cap on and starts going through the rooms, finding a whole wall of red bags, the same lady yelling Red Rabbit, and a glass of snake venom that she drops like it's some Centenario. Next thing she knows, she's having montages from scenes we didn't see. She's remembering Jess giving her Cody's missing knife that he was complaining about, and she hid it the same way we saw her hide the rent money earlier in the movie. On a rewatch, I noticed that she was actually already bit in the earlier scenes, and that's why she was acting paranoid, so it explains why she was already on edge and knew something was up. The timeline was was probably just all mumbled. Jess's room is also now storage, and we eventually find out through a comeback memory that they had snapped her neck.
Careful. You're gonna sprain your neck.
And what's even worse is that not only was she completely dependent on her and brought her friend to die, but even if they would have stayed back home, like, they were gonna die from black mold.
So we still have black mold, and I guess we're just gonna die now.
Yo, Jess.
Sarah's the only one who believes her because she kept the lighter with Jess's name on it, and she also has bruises that she knows she didn't get. They realize that none of them knew any of these dudes that baited them to get on there, and realize that they probably should have never hopped on a super fancy jet that led them to the middle of nowhere.
The sort of fake illusion that money is safety. I think not a lot of people have sort of spoken about that. It gives this false sense of safety. Money does.
The big reveal ends up being that the red flowers that only grow on the island are what wipes their memories, and they ended up making a mix in order to turn it into a perfume that they've been putting on daily. Maybe even their food, those raspberries, anything around them, meaning that they've been forgetting every night after these guys have had their ways with them.
Just can't magically erase shit from my brain.
He's then giving out red gift bags to all of his famous and rich buddies, world leaders, like who knows who, people who are just coming onto this island and then bringing that perfume back to the real world.
Maybe forgetting is a gift.
Pretty much, they've created like their Stepford sneaky links where they could just slip this into anything. And the sickest part is that Slater says the worse it is, the more they forget. So these guys were being beyond atrocious. I'm never gonna be able to see The Vow the same way again. That said, Frida did say earlier.
You got all that? It's a bit of a whirlwind.
Oh, yeah, no, I have an excellent memory.
Yeah.
Now, usually in a movie, you see the character remember things by them showing it to you in flashbacks on screen. But what's interesting with this one is that she hears it instead. So she's in the present, but she's hearing things from her memory.
Because the film is about memory, I wanted it to be sensory. And it's not about what's real or, it's about the things that you remember and those things and how they stick in your mind.
There's also a rhythm that they do with the edit, and that's what's causing, triggering her memory, especially with these countdowns.
1, 2, 3.
I like how the sound of the necklace is what continues to creep in on her when she's zoning out, not realizing fully what it is yet. Not to mention all the clues to different drafts that they had for the island. There was one version where they kind of all got into cannibalism, and you can say that's kind of still there. There was a whole backstory for the resorts and who worked for them, all of these like slaves that they kept there. There's even moments where they doubt if they were even on an island to begin with.
And she comes into the island. We're calling it an island.
Yeah,
right?
it's an
Yeah,
island.
it's an island.
Nah, man, can you imagine if they even Stevens them? Zoe said she was working on this before Weinstein even got locked up. It just came out way later than all the others, so technically they weren't referencing a lot of the famous people who have been locked up since.
And nothing, not one single, character thing of me was ever pulled from any of these nefarious, men in history.
Zoe even went as far as calling the island the Garden of Eden, because you kind of see that there is a fruit that they partake of that is supposed to be like temptation, and that's what got them there. Something that Slater even stated in the beginning.
Sometimes you really do have to just stop and smell the flowers.
But then she does this clever thing where she flips the idea of the snake and it being the thing that actually frees them. That's the reason Slater was getting rid of them and calling them a pest problem, since it's their venom which is the antidote to remembering. That's why he's even taken the venom and put it into his vaping, because he's smoking it so he doesn't fall for it.
Also, the vape liquid, put in your desk.
All right.
That's why he's the only one vaping while everyone else is rolling or packing. Even what he's drinking is like venom green. But that's why earlier when Frida was hitting his pen, she's able to remember the therapist who gets scared about what exactly she recalls.
I remember you. From the gala?
That's right.
Also, seeing that painting in his place where you see the red flower in the front and then like an empty thought bubble because they can't say anything, crazy stuff. Slater also mentioned that the doors here are like over 600 years old, so it makes you wonder who else has come through this place before a tech bro got there and figured out a way to, make stuff with this flower. And it was crazy finding out that since they stayed there, like the cast and crew just decided to live there while they were filming, they found out that before it was a resort, it was a plantation. And that kind of doubled up with what the rich characters were doing here in one version of the script.
Saw it in a movie once. I've always wanted to do it.
Then besides the twist, there's a lot of things that she does with how she plays off movies. For example, that line and how it may trigger you to remember some movie or commercial. I love the idea that she leaves it to you to figure out what do you recall. And if you can't recall one, well, now you'll be recalling her movie.
I love being aware that I'm watching a movie. I love being aware that the person making the movie is aware that it's a movie. If that makes sense.
There's also a bunch of homages to The Matrix with the red and blue dresses and the decisions being made, what to pick. chick, the first rule of Fight Club being mentioned, with the first rule of Blink Twice being don't get on that jet. Zoe even worked on the vape sound to be very particular. Like, she wanted this crackle that sounded like film grain. And then, of course, it homages another Channing Tatum classic.
You're right, by the way. These things actually work.
Oh my God, you're bleeding. Are you okay? Hey, suck it up.
They then set out a plan where they chug the venom and decide to mix it into shots so that the other two can, like, come to the realization of what's happening. It pretty much turns into the last act of Barbie, where they now know the truth but have to pretend for the guys in order to dupe them. Because at this point, the guys are out fishing, when in reality, they may be out there tossing a body. Or if that cannibal storyline is still in place, prepping a body. Frida then goes for the phones while Sarah distracts them with a smoke break by having them roll up that cornucopia from Fruit of the Loom. Frida then finds all of the Polaroid mementos of all the creeps that have visited the island and have taken some of that amnesia perfume home, and then gets all of her memories back slowly as she realizes that they killed Jess as all the moments flash before her. The movie then continues to show you how Slater's the king of this island and how it's pretty much his chessboard, and that's how they've designed the whole thing down to the floor plans. So when he enters, Stannis security, which is pretty much his knight, checkers in with an L shape as Slater forgets to check for the queen that's right in front of him.
What are we gonna do about you?
Super nerdy stuff, great setup, but man, this was in the trailer, and the ending to this scene was so dumb. Like, he was just yelling at the chair. He didn't even know she was there. She then escapes and heads back to the group in order to hit that cornetto, as the girls are getting Rex higher than he was when he was interviewing Tupac back in the day.
And you and Snoop are the homies, aren't you?
Yeah, we homies.
All right.
That's all that
hey.
is. Alrighty then.
Well, two of America's Most Wanted. Stay tuned.
They continue to pretend to have a good time, but when they dance, the venom starts to hit all of them, and the moves are what's causing them to flash back to the nights they forgot. So with every whip or thrust as they're dancing, it makes the memories flood back, and they focus in on their expressions from that moment more than the acts themselves. And I thought this was some of the best directing, especially with how they edit the timeline, so when you're looking back at the movie, one scene can be played two ways because you thought it was funny, they were having a blast, when in reality it was them forgetting after running away.
Wait. Why are we running?
Thanks to Heather, the chicks are now all out of the coop, and all of them get their memories back. Camila picks Tom off, Heather finally beats Vic with chess before the security uncasts her, and Sarah decides to corkscrew Cody, but somehow is able to outsmart the Marine.
Hot survivor babes.
Hot survivor babes.
We also see that with Geena playing the assistant, she was a person who actually took the flower on purpose because she didn't want to remember. She just fully gave in. That's why she's always stumbling and slipping up like she did earlier, where she didn't say nice to meet you, but...
Hi. Nice to see you.
Having a role is also interesting because it kind of shows you that, you know, there are also women who are helping these dudes out. And I even think that the theories people have had about her maybe being Slater's sister are kind of interesting.
Help me. Bitch, I tried.
Slater continues to be a chauvinistic pig and takes out Camila. Sarah shoots Cody when he's forced to go out and look for them, followed by the tech boy Lucas, who not only has joined the Black Eye Club, but he's supposed to be the lukewarm dude, the guy who's a part of the atrocities but doesn't really do anything, and that's why the guys are calling him out. In the end, Chen even tells him to step up, and that leaves him with one in the head. But I heard a crazy theory that he was also a victim, that maybe he wasn't there for the girls, but that it was Channing who was always watching over the other guys and seeing them have their way with the women. Wow, this was Tatum tickling this twink. Frida has a one-on-one with Slater, who bops her on the ground, triggering the craziest twist of the movie, and that's that she was there last year too. It's not even her first time. That's why her manager at the gala told her to talk less than the previous year. That trip had her with red rabbit animal nails, which is how the maid was recognizing her. The lip gloss from the first night that she dissed was hers.
Better luck next time, bitch.
That would explain why they have their exact fits for their clothes, because they would have been there before. And the fact that she can't remember her scar is because she got it from that trip and they made her forget. And that's what's crazy when you rewatch the movie and realize that he was testing her earlier on when he let her hit his vape, because he was trying to see how much she would remember.
How did you get that scar?
I don't know.
Another draft of the movie also had it so that it was an even crazier twist, because it was more than one time.
At one point, she had been there multiple times, not just one other time or whatever. And like this has happened like a lot.
What's crazy is that he is a tech bro, so he wasn't even sliding into her DMs. Man, he was sliding into her algorithm. Who knows what kind of data he was tracking on her in order to be able to control her. And it's wild that he didn't even need this to get the girls to fall for him. He was really just doing this whole system for his boys. It was like a birthday party where he was the one providing the gift bags, and it's insane that him getting caught earlier, the 2 years ago for his apology tour, that's what led him to getting this freak party island.
I really am. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry! I'm sorry! I'm sorry! I'm sorry!
But I've said those words so many times that they've lost meaning.
So we good?
After his I'm sorry speech that homages everyone online, he pins down Sarah, who he's about to behead. But first, bro has to hit his vape, which he doesn't realize Frida filled with the perfume, causing him to forget. Now, one, I don't know how he couldn't taste it, but if the girls were spraying it on themselves and that was causing them to forget things pretty fast, then I'm assuming inhaling it made it act even faster, because this dude pretty much forgets the entire night and he just magically finds himself at the end of the third act. Frida also remembers that she's the one who bit off Vic's pinky, and so she leaves him there to die with the umbrella that he also wanted from the beginning.
I need to be in a place where I can get an umbrella in my drink.
Perfect.
Frida and Sarah then burn down the building, yet of course forget the lighter, and then end it with her saving Slater for a final twist that honestly had me second guessing it.
Basically, Frida was more manipulative than comes across now. Is that what you...
Yeah, basically, you're almost at times going, is she the bad guy? Is she the one that's kind of doing all this?
Yeah,
Pretty much, she swapped out his Venom vape juice that he was able to, smoke to remember, and now has him smoking the Amnesia red juice, so he's consistently under her influence. He's now married to her, and somehow this lady has taken over the company that he stepped away from and is the host of the next annual gala. On top of that, she switched from animal nails to the Red Island flower, and that's what she's sporting. She has Slater eating steak, even though he clearly said earlier he was a vegetarian, and now it's all of them serving her. So in the end, she's the man.
The thing I'm so interested in terms of the power, it's you don't like pouring champagne, and yet you want someone to pour champagne for you, and where does that end, and what does that mean?
I do think it's a warning about what you're willing to go through in order to make it to the top, which I think was an unexpected twist for a lot of the people who were looking forward to this movie. But you do see someone who at a certain point was willing to damn near put her friend in danger, put herself in danger, doing all these things in order to make it to the top. And with Zoe saying that she's a massive PTA fan, I did kind of see the ending phantom vape.
Eat your steak, honey.
Considering what red represents throughout, I also think it is her taking the gift bag. It's her being a part of it. It's calling out how these things do start off as galas, and it would be the kids of famous people who know this. How people may want to do nice things, but eventually it does lead to the abuse of power.
Is she continuing a cycle, or is she ending a cycle? And I leave that up to the audience to decide.
Is it the oppressed becoming...
the oppressor?
Yeah.
Exactly.
In the end, she blinks once to get back at the people who hurt her. She ends up getting a round of applause as the new CEO, and wraps it all up by reminding us that
success is the best revenge.
Thank you all for checking out this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And again, a big thanks to Semper. Make sure you get yourself an unforgettable smell by clicking the link down below and finding your next scent. I'm curious to know your thoughts on this movie because obviously I see Zoë Kravitz as someone who's been in the industry so long. I think she's got a lot of interesting things to say. And even in the film, she early on with the reels, they slipped in her dad's workout video that I know went viral at some point. In the middle of the movie, or actually earlier, she makes a cameo as a stewardess on the plane. Only someone like her would be able to make the soundtrack of the movie, her playlist. I heard that they were just literally clicking play on her SoundCloud, her Spotify, and if it included Beyonce, boom, it was in the movie.
Beautiful full disclosure. Zoë Kravitz is my goddaughter.
Oh, wow.
I held her for the first time when she was 45 minutes old.
Wow. One of the questions that still lingers for me is the red chair, because he's got this thinking chair, forgetting chair, however you want to see it, but it appears throughout the entire movie, which is kind of funny because he flies with it. Early on, he's doing the interview with it. Then when they get to the island, he's got dudes carrying it back. I guess you could call it his baggage. Maybe we don't want to know what he was doing in that chair, but it is interesting to see. Again, back in her daddy's video, in his big compound, he's also got one. So maybe it's a thing for rich people.
And the featured piece here is this red velvet chair that belonged to Andy Warhol.
Definitely let me know your thoughts on this movie, especially with the ending, because I know they've been calling the final shot the Mona Lisa look, because you can interpret it in different ways, so I'd be curious to know what you take for it. All I know is that with everything that they throw at you, I'd say forgive, but hell no, forget forgetting. Other than that, let me know what stood out to you, whether you liked it, whether you didn't, and what other horrors you want to see me cover. And until next time, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll send you a scent you'll never forget.